I did it because I wanted the attention, I wanted the clicks, and I wanted the notoriety and the popularity. I had to take a step back just to answer your question and realize, okay, if I was to get that, I would have to keep being that avatar. Between you and me, Tom, I didn't like being that avatar.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talk Flourish, and stand back for another video. This time, I'm joined by the one and only Alex from Alex's World. So, welcome to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have entered Alex's World, a safe space for wrestling fans like you. And thank you so much, Tom, for having me on your show. I'm excited.
I'm very excited to chat with you, my friend. So, if we take this back to the beginning, Alex, where do you first discover wrestling as an overall fan?
Oh man, when I first discovered wrestling, I can remember sitting in front of a TV and I saw a bald man in briefs wrestling another man in tights. And on his tights, it had hearts with arrows in it. And I said, wow, this is some cool stuff. What is this? Is that Mike Tyson? That was Austin versus Shawn Michaels,
Oh,
WrestleMania
wow.
14. That was literally the first match I ever saw. No lie. And the crazy thing about it is wrestling has been a part of my family for a very,
Mm.
very long time. My stepdad was a worker in the concession stands for WCCW. In case you don't know, that used to be a territory for wrestling here in Texas with the
Yeah,
Von
yeah.
Erichs. And I think my actual father, he wasn't like the biggest wrestling fan, but his family would always go to events like constantly. So I was just always around wrestling. So it was just inevitable, you know?
Mm. So, you talk about it being inevitable and the fact that Austin and Michaels was the first match you saw. So, how do you discover that match? Did your family show you? How did it work?
I just saw it on TV. Little me, 7-year-old Alex had access to a remote and he was just flipping through channels. And I just so happened to run across WrestleMania 14. We had, of course, cable and pay-per-view, and
Yeah.
it was on. So I just happened to, by fate, run across two of the best wrestlers from Texas, and I am from Texas. And I just think it's just meant to be, man. And here I am today.
So when you discover wrestling and you talk about the fact that your family had all the channels for it, when you discover wrestling, are you hardcore, like, I'm gonna discover everything I can? Or are you someone that maybe dips their toe in slowly?
It took me a while. It took me a while to really get into it. I didn't start getting into it until literally it became so popular that even people in my school started watching it. Because this is around, just to give you a time period, 1998, 1999.
Yeah.
So this is when Austin was doing the whole thing with he whose name we will not mention. And then, of course, DX and like the Attitude Era. And I would go to school and kids would be doing the crotch top, be throwing out the middle finger. Yes, I was in third grade, 7, 8 years old, doing the middle finger. Don't tell nobody that. I did get in trouble. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this was around the time when I was very impressionable. And so I didn't really start getting into it until the people around me, my friends, got into it. And then I was hooked from then on, man.
What was your consumption of wrestling like when you became, in your own words, hooked? Were you someone that was like, I'm gonna watch everything? Did you have a specific allegiance to a specific company, etc.?
And that's funny. That's an interesting question to ask because I think people would expect, like, were you a WCW guy or a WWE guy, ECW guy? I didn't really care. Wrestling was wrestling. I didn't really have that perception of them versus them or us versus them. Hulk Hogan in WCW, Goldberg in WCW, Rock in WWE, Sandman in ECW. It was all wrestling to me. And I just consumed it as wrestling. I didn't really see, I knew about there being different promotions, but I didn't really see it as like competition. I just thought, okay, I guess these are all just people who just so happen to wrestle on different shows, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So how do you take? Do you still have that approach to this day of people wrestle on different shows? Where is your current fandom as we record this?
Oh, it's completely changed. I here's the thing. I do believe competition is important for wrestling. I think it is almost essential because you always need a secondary or even a third promotion fighting for that top spot and pushing the top company to be at their best. Because what ends up happening is that if you don't, then the top company, usually more than not, will get complacent, and then that just hurts the overall business. And
Mm.
so I do perceive competition. I do perceive, all right, this company is kicking this company's ass, but that's just who I am. I love this idea of, all right, who is number one this week? Oh man, this week it was AEW because that match between Swerve and insert person here was fantastic. And WWE, and then next week it could be WWE. And you go back and forth. And so that is the kind of thing that I like. I like seeing who's on top this week and who's not. And that makes it fun for me. And I love having that more than, no offense, than how I saw it as a kid.
Mm. So what about are you one of those people though that's like the XYZ promotion needs to die? Are you one of those? Or are you
Oh.
someone that's like uh no competition I know you said competition is good, but you know what I mean? Are you rooting for a specific company?
So back in my Deluxe Man days, I might have thought that for a certain promotion called TNA, but that was when I was, dare I say, not in my right mind, just got out of high school. And you know what they say about high schoolers, right? We're still developing our frontal lobe. We weren't quite thinking properly.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, no. I think anyone that would even consider the idea that this promotion should go out of business because I don't like what they're doing or I don't like what he's doing, I can't imagine them being wrestling fans. And I say that not from the standpoint of you can't want the best for wrestling and then at the same time, in that same breath, want a wrestling company to go out of business because less companies means less opportunities for these wrestlers to connect, to get better, to grow, and
Mm.
become future superstars like Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Where would Cody Rhodes be if he left WWE and he had nowhere else to go? You know what I mean? He had to go
Yeah.
through so many other. It's not just WWE to AEW. No, it's Ring of Honor, and then of course it's TNA, and then NWA, and then wherever else that company that Jeff Jarrett led. What happened to that? G-Force? I don't remember. Anyways,
Yeah.
but you then get to him getting to AEW and then right back to WWE. That journey would not have happened if he didn't have any other place to go. So anyone saying that this company should go out of business, I don't know why they would even consider themselves as wrestling fans. I'm not saying you have to like it. You could just admit that it's not for you and just go watch something else that might be for you. You don't like NXT? Maybe you'll like AEW. You don't like AEW? Maybe you'll like Stardom. You don't like Stardom? Maybe you'll like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and so on and so forth. So no, I think that is a horrible way to think.
What is you talk about that one week you might watch this show but think this show is the best because of etc reasons. But what is your current fandom where you're like, I will sit and watch this no matter what happens in my week. I will make sure I catch up on this show.
Hmm, that's a good question. I feel like right now in this moment, which is May the 3rd, 2024, I don't really have a wrestling show I feel that way about. It's one of those things where if it's on and I have an opportunity to watch it, I'll watch it. Thanks to DVR, I'll never miss it. Um, Nothing is hooking me to the point where, oh, I gotta check it out. Oh, I don't care what's happening. It could be my friend's wedding day. Sorry, gotta watch this guy in WWE. Nah, there's nothing for me that's hooking me like that. Was there something like that? Yeah. Back during WrestleMania, when The Rock was the final boss this year,
Yeah.
fantastic work. That was one of those instances where people were so mad that he came back and they assumed that he was coming back to take Cody's spot. Maybe there was something that was true about that,
Mm.
but it didn't happen. Cody still went to WrestleMania. Cody still won the championship, still got his moment. That can never be taken away from him. The Rock was a huge part of that. The final boss is once again showing us that he's one of the greatest of all time because he can take whatever you give at him, make it into gold. And so now I'm just patiently waiting for him to come back, and then maybe that'll be something I can be invested in.
So are you someone then? You talk about patiently waiting for people to come back. I do you consider yourself not how do I phrase this? Not do you consider yourself a wrestling fan, or are you someone that has to rely on part-timers for your fandom to be what high?
That's an interesting question. And I'm gonna stop saying that. That's an interesting question. No, here's the thing: a wrestling fan for me is someone that enjoys wrestling. Period. So let me break that down for you. If you just watch Stardom, you're a wrestling fan. If you watch Stardom once a month, you're a wrestling fan. If you watch WWE once a year, you're a wrestling fan. There are different varies and of course degrees of hardcore wrestling fan, casual if you know what I mean? That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, you asked that question and I had to think, well, a wrestling fan is someone that enjoys wrestling, doesn't really matter. And to be specific with you, I consider myself a pretty hardcore wrestling fan because I've been watching straight for 26 years. I never stopped. You know,
Yeah.
I might take a few weeks off. I might find this show boring and stop watching this particular show, but then I'll replace this show with this wrestling show. So in 2018, WWE to me was not doing it. The main roster.
Yeah.
I was watching NXT, 205 Live. I was watching Lucha Underground. I was watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. So what made up for that gap of me not watching WWE, I found it in other places. And that's going to be what I do going forward. It's not going to be one of those things where, okay, just because I stopped watching this show, I'm not going to watch anything else. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, it definitely did, my friend. So
Yeah.
where did it come into your life then that you were like, I like wrestling, I want to make content on it?
Around 2010, and I want to give him credit because he's one of the best. Good mic work started
Yeah.
doing YouTube, and Greg is a great guy. I've had tons of conversations with him. Hopefully, we get a chance to meet in real life. But he started his YouTube career around that time, and an incident with a certain group called the Nexus happened, where a certain wrestler called Daniel Bryan was fired. He was fired for choking out Justin Roberts. I'm like, what? That ain't right. And I had this swell of feelings inside of me. I gotta talk to somebody about this. Where do I go? Well, I have a camera. I have a shitty laptop with a webcam and a shitty microphone. Don't know if I can cuss. Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, all good.
And I said, you know what? Let me just start recording. The rest is history. And I've been doing it for, what did I say? What is this? 14 years? Ooh,
Yeah, about that.
Jesus. 14 years. I haven't stopped.
So you talk about not stopping in 14 years. I had good mic work on the show recently, and he talked about how he has seen YouTube change within his 14-year journey of wrestling media. How have you seen the YouTube platform change in your journey?
For the better, just to put it succinct. But I remember when I first got here, it was cutthroat, but not in the best of ways. It was
Mm.
more centered around trolling and drama and making fun of people for liking wrestling. That was the vibe I got with the people in that particular environment. And it's not everybody. I'm still friends with a lot of people from that era. But nowadays, what I love about this particular community is that it's competitive. The JDs from NYs, because I saw him on your channel as well, the Solid Monsters, the Good Mike Works, and many, many, many others. We all have our goals. We all have our own aspirations, but we support each other.
Yeah,
Denise Salcedo is a good friend of mine, and hopefully you'll have her on here too. Denise
fingers
is
crossed.
she does great things, man. You look at her; she's doing interviews for WWE documentaries. I sent her a message not that long ago saying you are doing it, and I'm proud of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anytime I see someone, even someone like you, Tom, do great things, I'm gonna applaud you. You want to know why? Because you're carving a path for someone like me to do it as well. Now, will I follow that path? More than likely not. I have my own path to follow.
oh,
But
definitely.
The thing is, we're not trying to tear each other down. We are all trying in our own way to lift each other up and build a community, a legit community where people can come and feel safe, safe space for wrestling fans like you to be wrestling fans. What does safe mean? That means I can like something and you not like something, that same thing, and we be
Mm.
cool with it. All right, you don't like it. Tell me why you don't like it. Oh, that's interesting. All right, well, what do you like? Oh, I like that too. And so on and so forth. And so I feel like where we are now is what I just described. And what we used to be, it was all about who can get the most clicks, what video can I put out to trigger people, to make them angry and get thousands or millions of views. That's not something I'm into because anybody can pull down their shorts and then take a dump and then get thousands of hundreds and millions of views. But that's what you're known for. You have to keep doing that craziness to keep those views going. I want to keep the views going by simply talking about wrestling, and that's what I'm doing.
You talk about wanting to keep the views going by talking about wrestling. Obviously, Alex, we all suffer from burnout from time to time
Yeah.
and things like that. What do you do on those days that you're like, I've watched far too much wrestling, or I just don't want to talk into a microphone today? How do you keep yourself motivated?
I think when it comes to burnout, for me, and I've experienced it more times than I want to talk about, essentially what burnout is for me is you're putting in all this work, you're spending all this time doing this content creation gig that we love, and hopefully one day we'll be able to make a living off of, right? And then you just reach a point where you don't see the results you want, or you don't see the results you feel like you
Mm.
should be getting from all that hard work. And after a long period of time of no results, it hits you. Everybody has experienced it. Everybody will experience it. What I do is a lot of times I will take a step back and go, okay, what I'm doing with this channel, do I like what I'm doing? Because a lot of times you can get through that burnout if what you're doing you enjoy, regardless of who watches it. Number
Mm.
one. Because a lot of times we'll do certain videos or talk about certain things because it gets clicks, it gets views, analytics are up, you get paid, people donate, blah, 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 right? When all that stops happening, you change how you feel about certain things. So when burnout kicks in and I start looking at what's making me tired, I take a step back and I go, okay, well, what can I change? I'm doing live shows. Do I need to cut back on live shows right now? Okay, let's cut back on it. Let's get back to it when things are hot. Maybe start doing live shows when WrestleMania season or Royal Rumble season or
Yeah.
SummerSlam season kicks in. Then take a break and just do uploads and then get right back to it. If things are hot, you can keep it going. But if things are slowing down, and they always slow down, take a break. Take a break from that particular type of content. Maybe focus on shorts. Okay, you watch the show, give a 30-second short about it, upload it. Try that. See what happens. Maybe do an upload. Do a 10-minute upload, 5-minute upload. See what happens. Change it up. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is a prime example for this question. This guy has been wrestling for over, what, 3 decades? If
Something
that,
like that. It's ridiculous.
the reason why he has been able to keep it as strong and interesting as possible, and he has taken his breaks, every time he wrestles, he's always changing it up. Every gimmick is different, every unique character, every unique presentation of everything that he does. Changes up the catchphrases, changes up his wrestling style. Yes, he has to watch Jericho and the Lion Salt, but
No, but I know what you mean.
that's what I'm trying to say when I think about burnout. You always have to keep changing it up because if you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, what do they say? What's insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You got to keep changing it up. You got to keep growing. And that's why I think I've been able to keep my position and be in this very, very privileged position for so long. So that's how I deal with burnout. Just keep changing it. Just keep changing, doing different things, and keep your eyes on what is it that I enjoy about this? And then just keep doing it, and you'll do this forever.
Mm. You also talked about there, and as we were talking earlier, about the fact that you're very close with Denise Salcedo and things like that. To
Mhm.
me, Denise Salcedo is one of the goats in this space. So, what have you learned from her?
I think Denise, especially since we did our interview and I've been talking to her, she is someone that literally came from nothing. We're talking about someone, and she's told this story, that was unemployed. She had no job. And she did this wrestling thing, wrestling commentary, doing announcing, getting to know people when she was struggling. But she stayed with it and she showed passion. And because she loved what she did, eventually, she got better at announcing. She got more comfortable in her own skin. She found her voice. She found her personality. Now look at her. Household name. Big time. People
Mm,
are now calling her. She used to call people for gigs. Now people are calling her for gigs because she stuck with it. So perseverance is one thing that I've learned from her. And, consistency. Always showing up. Never late. Even when you don't want to be there. Trust me, I've been there myself where it's like, I do not want to do this, but you still show up. You still show up. And that's something that I 100% admire about her. And I will never take anything away from any of her accomplishments, because there's a lot of people. What did we talk about earlier? The cutthroat mentality that was
mm,
prevalent back in the day. That's still happening nowadays with certain creators. And I'm not going to mention any names. Um, but you see it out there. You see them wanting to tear her down. You see it. You see it permeating from people, and let's just call it like it is, people who don't really have the balls or the fortitude to do what she does. And they get this idea that we can do what you're doing. This is easy. All you do is just come up here and talk. No, 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 no. My friend, it's a lot more than that.
yeah,
Besides the technical aspects, this takes a lot of mental fortitude, because you're constantly putting yourself out in the public. And guess what? Once you're out there, that's it.
it's never
That's it.
going away.
It's never going away. And people are always going to have their own perceptions of you. There are going to be people in this world that absolutely hate everything that you do. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do. You still got to be able to push forward and deal with that. Denise has done that, and she's still doing it. And that is inspiring me to go, man, if Denise can do it, imagine what I can do.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
100%. What about good mic work? Because you talked about the fact that you have both sort of started your journey around the same time and things like that. Have you learned anything from him or given each other tips on things as you've grown?
So me and Greg we're really cool, but let's be honest. When it comes to our wrestling fandom, we are radically different because we come from different eras. Greg grew up during of course, the 80s and of course the Bret Hart era, the Hulk Hogan era. I'm the Attitude Era. So two different eras, two different ways of looking at wrestling. And there are things that we have vehemently disagreed on, John Cena being one of them. But what I like about Greg, quite frankly, is he has a conversation with you.
Yeah,
So a lot of fans, and I'm not gonna put this all on every wrestling fan. Some of you watching this understand where I'm coming from. A lot of fans will always go for the jugular when you say something they don't like. What is wrong with you? Why would you say that? Greg, hey man, I'm just curious. Why do you feel this way? Oh man, really? You feel that way? And as a young YouTuber coming up, that meant a lot to me because it made me feel safe in my opinions. Instead of dealing with people who will make you feel like garbage for, I don't know, not liking WWE, Greg will go, all right, well, I understand where you're coming from. Maybe if you see it this way, maybe that'll help. Or
yeah,
give it some time. Maybe you'll start to like it. And usually 9 times out of 10, Greg is right, where I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. You know what I mean? But I think because Greg has been doing this for not just the wrestling commentator thing, but just being around people and understanding people for a lot longer than I have, he knows how to talk to people and get them to realize, man, we all want the same thing. We all want to enjoy wrestling. So I get where you're coming from, but just give it a little bit. That's what I like
mm,
about him.
mm. So you also talked about the advice you got from two creators and things like that. What would your advice be for anyone that wants to start a channel in 2024 as we record this?
Just start. Simple as that. A lot of people get into this mindset that content creation is a get quick rich scheme. You and I both know, Tom, it's not the
No.
case. No, 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 no. There are going to be people who do start a YouTube channel, boom, instant popularity. Guess what happens to them? Give them about a month, they're
Oof.
gone. Exactly. As quickly as you became popular, you lose it just instantly. Because you don't know, we don't really understand what it means to be popular until you're popular. And then a lot of times you don't want to be popular anymore. But guess what? Once you're out there, you're out there. And so when I say just start, don't do it with the expectation of I'm going to get rich. I'm going to be just as big as insert YouTuber here. Do it
Oh,
because
for example.
you know what I mean. I'm just saying do it with the idea of I'm doing it because I like talking about such and such. Now, is there going to be a chance for you to perhaps reach a certain level and you get these opportunities to, maybe get a sponsorship and all that kind of stuff? Sure, everybody gets that. I just think we have to keep this in mind, though. And this is something that I would tell them. Do it because you like it, but create, get into the habit of just creating for the sake of creating. So
Mm.
what does that mean? There are going to be times, like we talk about burnout, when you're creating, you get no views. That's what's going to happen to every YouTuber. You're not going to get the first 100 videos that I made barely cracked 100 to 200 views. I guarantee you that's going to happen to every single person. Maybe there'll be one or two that get lucky, but most of the people that do videos don't start getting video views until like after their first 100 videos. And that's just algorithm. You know what I mean? But also,
Yeah.
you have to keep this in mind too. So, all right. So the period where you're not getting views, you're making content, eventually you'll get through it, then you'll start making views. And then let's say you start making thousands, millions of views. Guess what? You still got to create content because you got to keep the people who are watching you to keep coming. So, get into the habit of just creating content. Have a flow, have a schedule, have an idea of what you want to do. I think a lot of people get this idea of, all right, I made it. I'm a million subscribers. I'm making $1 million. I guess I can stop now. No, no, you still got to create content. You still have to produce enough material for people to still want to come and watch you.
Mm.
Yes, the videos that you put out there, the video catalog that you created will keep getting views. But what about in 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027? You want them to keep coming back, right? You want to
Yeah.
keep making money. You got to keep producing content. And then eventually you get into the habit of it. You don't have to worry about, okay, this doesn't get a lot of views. Eventually, this one will. Some videos that I make, the recent one I did called WWE 10 Years Later, it didn't make any views. It was literally uploaded last month, got barely 1,000. It's now starting to generate views. It's now over 10,000, closing in on 20,000. And now it's one of the most popular videos on my channel.
Mm.
But if I had gotten so caught up in views, I would have just thought that was a failure and probably been like, okay, well, maybe I'll take it down. Or maybe, no, I created it, left it alone. What's next? Create, left it alone. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I just keep doing it. And then eventually, if it's good content, it'll pick up views. So all that to say, bringing it back to the question, just start and get into the habit of creating content for the sake of creating content.
I understand what you're saying completely there. So you also talked about with being on this platform 14 years and things like that. How have you seen your growth change throughout the 14 years you've been on there? Because I know talking to Greg from Good Mic Work, he spoke about the adpocalypse in 2017
Yeah.
and worry. Let me start that question again. And worrying that his channel would never grow again and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So where how have you seen your growth change?
That did hurt my channel as well, for the record. Me and Good Mike were, because we came up around the same time. There was a period where the views that you see with JD and Solid Monster, I was doing that like in around 2014, 2015. Like my pay-per-view reviews were doing 100K, 200K. I think Royal Rumble 2015 did 300K. And Apocalypse hit, uh-oh, all my views went away. And there was a point in time where I was like, man, like, what do I do? What's going on here?
Mm.
So it was very strong. That first year was not great. But from I would dare say 2011 to about 2016, my channel was popping off because that was when I was putting out mashups, and my mashups were on WWE's YouTube channel, and people were getting to know me, and people were coming to get my views on stuff. And I was saying a lot of things that I would not say nowadays. I was that kind of, how I put this. I said
Shock jock.
something, I guess maybe. I was basically saying things that I know would generate a lot of emotions that would hope push the buttons of people on
Let me put
purpose.
it this way: were you pushing the buttons just to push the buttons?
Yes. As Deluxe Man, there were those issues where I did feel a certain way about it, but I'm gonna say it this way because I know it'll get views. And hey, I'm not gonna sit here and say it was right or wrong, but I will admit that where I am now, I would not do that because that's not genuine. You know what I mean? But that's what I did for that period of time. Apocalypse hits. Now I'm not getting any views for like a good few years. And that's rough for me. So what I did in 2020 during the pandemic, and this is something that I had to hear from it's a guy that does therapy. I think he tours, what is it called? When you do a job but you're not in one place.
Motivational speaker.
Sure. But he also does professional therapy, personal therapy.
Oh.
Millionaire. He's a millionaire and he travels. And I told him what I was doing. I was like, man, like my YouTube stuff, my social media stuff's not popping off, man. I don't know what's going on. And then he would ask me, so what do you do on the side? Like, you're not making money on social media. What you do? I'm like, I'm a public school teacher. And he's like, so you're doing a YouTube social media gig as well as a public school teacher. Both of those require your full 100% attention. So which one's getting it? I was honest with him. I'm like, well, I'm kind of just doing both. And he said, that's your problem. That's your problem. You're not going all in on either. So you got to pick one. Public school, social media. Part of the reason why you're not doing so well on social media is because you're not consistent with it. And people can sense that. So what are you going to do? I said, screw it. Screw public school teaching, just Alex. And so I changed my name from Deluxe Man to Just Alex. And this has been my full-time job. I don't think I've had this much success ever. Like, in all sorts of ways, socially, financially, just all the boxes checked off. I went all in with it, and I feel proud because I'm constantly improving myself, constantly growing. And yeah, man, I feel like my growth exponentially has been shown since the pandemic, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
What was that? What was it? You obviously talk about that billionaire being like, you need to go all in either on one or the other. What was that moment like where you were like, yep, I'm going to go all in on YouTube?
Initially, it pissed me off. I'm being honest with you. How dare you tell me that I'm not going in? You don't know what's going on. But a lot of times when people tell you stuff you don't want to hear, it should piss you off.
Yeah.
I think it took me a while to realize that I need to quit kidding myself. I need to quit lying and expecting the same result by doing the same things. I got to change something. So what's it going to be? Because what I'm doing doesn't work. What I'm doing isn't necessarily getting me where I want to go.
Mm.
So, I'm a stubborn person. I'm the kind of guy where it's just like you can say it 100 times and it'll go one ear and out the other. One thing is, eventually, when I make up my mind and I hit a wall, I go, all right, what is it going to be? So that's what happened. I ended up just changing my name to Just Alex, and it was all because of that guy telling me the truth. You're not going nowhere because you're not all in on one thing. Simple as that.
Mm. I understand what you're saying completely. So
Thank
now
you.
that you are 4 years into going all in and being full time, what would you say to Alex that's just starting to become full time and things like that? And what do you think he'd say about your success?
Well, that Alex, when I first started, he could not have foreseen what I have now. There's no way. So the only thing I could tell him is no matter how hard it gets, keep going. Consistency is something that you need. What's that phrase that Denzel Washington said? Denzel Washington said, whenever you start something, you need commitment and consistency. Because
Yeah.
without commitment, you'll never start. But without consistency, you'll never finish. So I would tell myself, stay committed, stay consistent through whatever may come. You'll have your highs, you'll have your lows. Your lows will be very low.
Mm.
But the traverse of that is your highs will be extremely high. And that's what everybody is going to go through that when you're on social media. You'll have these very, very, very high highs, but then those lows, and it's just ebbs and flows. That's life, man. But you got to stay consistent. Keep going. That's what I would tell myself.
What about if we take it back and we go back to 14 years ago, Alex? Do you think he'd think of your success?
He
And
would
then
think I'm on my mind.
and what do you think? And what would you say to him as well?
That Alex was someone who wasn't, and this is just me being real with you. I didn't know who I was 14 years ago. I barely knew what I wanted to do in my life. I became a public school teacher because that's what my family wanted me to be. Nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't what I really wanted to be. But I wanted to make my parents and my family happy. So I went to college, public school teaching. And I did the wrestling thing, the wrestling YouTube stuff, just for fun. I wasn't really serious about it. It was just something I did. Knowing what I know now, I would have told myself, my man, go all in with the YouTube. Go all in with it. There was a period of time around 2016 where I took a long break. It's not that long. It's like about 6 months, which is, no, that is a long break. Jesus Christ.
That is long. In
That's a long
content
break.
creation, that's long.
That's a long break. Okay, so 6 months. I would have told myself, don't take any breaks. Go all in. Like, seriously, you have no idea what can come down the pike. If I had put in as much effort in 2010 as I am right now, Tom, oh my goodness, imagine where I would be. But it's easier for me to say that now, where I am today. I wouldn't have gotten here if I didn't start, if I didn't just go, let's see what happens. So yes, I would tell myself, dude, go all in with it. You have no idea where this is going to go. Trust me. And by the way, when you get to 2015 and Royal Rumble, where 2015 happens, that rant video, I want you to plug it, push it, and make sure that it gets 1 million views. I promise you it'll do it. Yeah, I just think, it's easy to look back on yourself and go, man, if I can just change this and this and this and this and this and this, I would be much better. Sometimes, Tom, that's not the case. Sometimes all those bumps, those mistakes, those stupid things that you know were stupid that you said anyways, you had to bump your head and realize, oh, God, I was stupid, to be able to grow and then get to where you are today. I mean, you're the interviewer, but let me ask you this. You made a lot of mistakes in your life. Would you be who you are if you didn't make those mistakes?
Hell to the no.
Exactly. So you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, 100% I do. So you flipped the question on me there about mistakes and things like that. I'm going to ask you, you talked about early in your YouTube career, maybe not being genuine and things like that. Do you view that as a mistake, for one? And then also for two, what was the moment like where you were like, I've got to be more genuine with these people?
So do I consider it a mistake that I was playing up a facade or playing maybe being an avatar of what I think people would want me to be? Absolutely. Because the real me, the genuine me, is so much better. It's so much more entertaining, and there's a lot more I can get out of me just being the more nuanced wrestling fan. So when I say I was playing a facade, let's just say when I was watching WWE back in the day, there was this gimmick that I was doing where it was like anti WWE. This show sucks. It's garbage. It's awful. Nothing's good. Everything's garbage. Everything sucks. Did I truly believe that the
Mm.
show was bad? Oh, it was really, really bad. But there were a lot of good things happening on the show that I could have been a lot more fair about, and I wasn't. But guess what got me clicks? Saying Raw sucked. Saying SmackDown sucked. Oh my God, let me rip it. What's his name? Bruce Blitz. Remember a guy named Bruce Blitz?
I don't know that name, yeah.
What was he popular for? Shitting on John Cena. Every week he came up, he crapped on John Cena. It was a John Cena rant. And guess what? Hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people watched him do it. That's what I wanted to do. I did it because I wanted the attention, I wanted the clicks, I wanted the notoriety and the popularity. I had to take a step back just to answer your question and realize, okay, if I was to get that, I would have to keep being that avatar. Between you and me, Tom, I didn't like being that avatar.
Mm.
I hate being that avatar. I personally just want to be the guy that, you know what? I might not like it today, but I could like it later. I just don't like it right now. That's not as interesting as, man, this shit is garbage. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even if, how about this? Even if I didn't necessarily feel that way, it got people to watch me. Because when you go to those extremes, you're always going to get a reaction. Always 100%. They either really, really like it or they really, really hate it. But guess what? Oh, screw this guy. Oh, I love him. And then guess what? Then they start fighting over each other. And then that just boosts your engagement. So on and so forth. I regret that because I feel like if I would have stayed genuine and built my platform off this idea that you're getting the real, genuine Just Alex, it probably would have taken me longer to get to where I am, probably. But I would have built a much more secure and trustworthy
Consistent
community.
again?
Consistency. Been consistent with it. And the fans would have seen me in a much more better light because I had built a reputation of being someone that has said things that were stupid and completely mean. And people remind me every day. They send me screenshots of my tweets and my Facebook posts and YouTube posts and YouTube videos. Remember when you said this? Yeah. And then I had to be that guy. It was stupid. I shouldn't have said it, but I said it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Will Washington said it best. He's like, be careful what you say because you might have to eat your words in the future.
Mm. You talk
Well,
about what is the one sort of post or thing you said in a video that you're like, okay, I didn't mean that. I eat my words now.
shoot. Too many to count. I'll give you one. Bella Twins. Bella Twins. And I look here. I got nothing against Brie or Nikki Garcia. But there was an incident where Brie, I forgot what match it was, but it involved Brie and Liv Morgan. And Brie kicked Liv Morgan in the head.
Is this where
And
she got concussed?
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
forgot the name of the match. I was livid. And I said, these two women should not be in wrestling. The business should ban them. They should not be even involved with it. It would be better off if they never even came in. I remember being furious. And I said it in the video and I said it on Twitter. Looking back on it, I go, come on. Like, Brie didn't mean to kick her in the head. Just call it like it is. You know, shit happens. It wasn't malicious. Could she have done a better job of protecting Liv? 100%. But that shit happens all the time. Even the best wrestlers accidentally hurt each other. You know what I mean? Liv doesn't hold anything against Brie. Why should I? But I took it upon myself to use that as material.
Clicks.
To get clicks. And so sometimes we have to be careful that we don't fall into the trap of what can I say to get people to give me attention? You know what I mean? Because I know that we all are in this game to become something popular, to be known and well known, but not that way. But that's one of many that I can tell you about that was just, why did I say that? That was so stupid.
Do you stand by your Roman Reigns rant video though?
In 2015,
Yes.
yeah, I thought that was a horrible, horrible way to present Roman Reigns. Everybody knew that was Bryan Danielson's time because he came back from injury, and I said, this is who they want to be the guy to fight Brock Lesnar, and you know they do. But the people in charge said, we're going to go at Roman, and it backfired hard. Even with The Rock being there, it backfired. And they tried to shove Roman into that spot anyways, and it made fans hate him even more. Roman never recovered from it. He went through this, dare I say, 5-year drought until he became the tribal chief, where it was like, okay, now we have a gimmick and now we have a reason to get behind him because now we're allowed to hate him and get it out of our systems, right? And so now that we got it out of our system for over 4 years, guess what? Now we're ready to cheer him again. But the way they presented him in 2015, I stand by it. That was stupid, one of the worst Rumbles ever. And no, I was not a fan.
I understand what you're saying completely there. As we look at wrapping this up, Alex, because I do want to be respectful of your time, and believe it or not, we've been going 40 and nearly 50 minutes. I have 2 questions for you before we wrap this up with the wrap up questions. First of all, do you view your career in wrestling media as a success? First of all, and if you stepped away tomorrow, what would you want your legacy as a content creator to be?
I think success is all depending on what you have in mind. From where I started, it's an absolute success. It is, in my opinion, the definition of a success story. You're talking about a guy who didn't really have a direction in life. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. And he found himself, as well as a passion, through just talking about wrestling. Like, think about what I just said there. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to school to change the world. I entertain people on a weekly basis, talking, ranting, discussing, recapping, reviewing, praising professional wrestling. That is a very privileged, that is a blessing, that is a great spot to be in. So yes, I do consider where I am as a success. The second part of your question, just to answer it, I'm someone that's not complacent. Where I am right now with, thank you everybody, 48,000 subscribers and climbing. I think it's 41 now, the last I checked.
Probably 50 by the time this airs. I'm not gonna
Thank you. You're very kind. I'm not going to get complacent. Once I hit 50, guess what's next? 100K.
I
After
was going to
100K,
say
guess
75, but
75, but 100K, right? Guess what's next? After 100K, 200K, 300K, 400, 500, a million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, so on and so forth. I want to keep doing this until I reach a point where, you know what? I'm going to have this guy come in, take over my channel, and start doing videos because I think he can take my channel to a whole new height. And then, of course, you know how it works with business. You own the channel, you get a percentage of what he does. And so now I create different platforms where I train others to talk about wrestling. And then, of course, I get paid for it because that's how business works. But now you're making passive income based off of what you do. I have a plan in my life that I'm doing right now. And the fact that I'm in a position to where I can not only do it and execute it, Tom, that can't be nothing but successful, just to answer your question.
Who are maybe some up and coming media personalities that you're like, in 20 years, I'd like to see them take over this channel?
A&B Convos, Wrestling Edition. I talk about them all the time. They're up and coming, very hot starts, and they are going to do great when it comes to reactions, but they're also great at commentary. So that's one. I talk about him consistently, but Patrick's Crazy Place is another one. You know, just I can be here all day. We Are Pro Wrestling. Everybody else that I would give the channel to are already established. Some of them have bigger numbers than me. You know, JD, Solid Monster, Denise, Greg, good mic work. I'm always keeping an open mind. I'm always keeping my ear to the ground. on, who's really getting somewhere in wrestling. And keep this in mind, Tom. I'm getting people outside of YouTube come to me about, man, what can I do when it comes to starting a career on social media? I'm talking about like Instagram, TikTok. Well, TikTok's probably not going to be here for who knows based off of where it is, but
Yeah,
Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, same thing. Just start, stay consistent, stay committed, and just do it because you like doing it. And that is something I'm going to keep doing until I decide I don't want to do it no more.
that's a beautiful way to end this conversation, I think. But before we do generic questions, I have a self-indulgent question. As an
Oh
interviewer
boy.
yourself, where can I improve, etc.? What did you enjoy?
For you, you know what, Tom? I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for the good questions, by the way. If I could give you one particular advice, um, try not to do what I do. Don't see this terrible backdrop I have. Don't imitate me. Let's not do
Almost.
that.
We are in the process of new backdrop. Just moved into new house though.
I'm pretty sure you got that taken care of. Other than that, bro, stay consistent. Stay with it. You will naturally grow the more you do it. Because like everybody else, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna hit a part of your career where it's like, oh, why am I not getting views? What am I not doing right? Eventually, you'll figure it out if you keep going. Because all it takes, Tom, is that one interview, that one video interview, one short one snippet that goes viral. Next thing you know, boop, boop, boop. Tom, this is Triple H. Yo, Tom, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Or,
Mm.
hi, I'm Tony Khan. How would you like to come work for AEW, Tom? So on and so forth. And you just never know. You just got to keep going, be you. And you're a good dude, man. So I think you'll be just fine.
I really appreciate that, my friend. But as we wrap this up, Alex, we are going to do a segment that I call that's a staple on this channel called generic wrestling questions. Those of you that have seen my interviews before will know this. I'll ask Alex his favorite match, favorite pay-per-view card, such as Double or Nothing 2019, favorite wrestler's entrance theme, favorite tag team, and favorite wrestler. Basically, the questions I assume Alex might be asked on social media. So now he'll have a place to be like, guys, I've answered this.
Go
Please
watch
go watch
Tom.
this. So, what's your favorite match of all time?
Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. I was there live in
Ooh,
Houston to watch it. To me, that is the greatest. I don't see anything topping it. Kenny Omega and Okada be damned. I'm just saying.
fair enough. What about your favorite overall pay-per-view card?
WrestleMania 17. Also here in Houston, Texas. I was not there for that one, but I think that's it. Like when you think about a wrestling show, it had everything. Star power, incredible wrestling, incredible moments, a big, exciting crowd, great commentary, a callback to the past. It literally is the apex of pay-per-views, and I don't see anything topping it.
That's very, very cool. What about your favorite wrestler's entrance theme?
It's a tie,
Okay.
but I'm gonna tell you what's in my head right now. So, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin's Shattered Glass theme. Anytime that glass
Disturbed or
shatters,
nah?
oh, I can't. Now you're giving me another one. The original. I'm going with the original, but Disturb is great. So the original Shattered Glass Steve Austin theme, and then you can't, as much as you don't like him because he has said some dumb things, but I love him for what he was in the wrestling business. Hulk Hogan's Real American.
Mm.
Come on. You think about a wrestling theme song. Real American is wrestling. Come on, man. So those two are my favorite.
What about your favorite tag team?
Hardys, Matt
Why
and
don't I
Jeff.
speak to you as a fan?
I actually had a chance to speak to Lita, and I told her that I loved your run. With the Hardys. Let's just say she didn't like didn't like what I have to say because history. But you understand, Lita, man.
Yeah.
But look here. When you think about all the tag teams in history, who were involved? Which two teams were involved in all the craziness that helped set the bar high for tag teams. Well, 3 teams: Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge, and Christian. So I would think within this generation, those are the 3 answers you're gonna get. Mine's is the Hardys, and you know why.
That's very, very cool. And then finally, Alex, the biggest generic question, in my opinion. Who is your favorite overall wrestler?
It changes from time to time. For this
Oh, yeah?
one, today, as of, again, this is May 3rd, 2024, Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson is everything you could want in a wrestler. He's charismatic. He can speak on the microphone. He's fantastic inside the ring. He knows how to connect with the audience. He knows how to play a character. You've seen it 100% of the time, whether it's in WWE, AEW. He could be a heel. He could be a babyface. He could wrestle a broomstick, get a 5-star, create a 5-star match for Dave Meltzer and all the other 5-star enthusiasts. He is the epitome of professional wrestling, and he's going down as one of the greats of all time. That's who I think is the one for right now.
That's very, very cool. As we look at wrapping this up, Alex, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation. But the question I end this show on is, I believe as content creators, or even just people with social media, we're sort of going to live forever in some sort of very weird way. So what is one piece of content you're like, I'd like to be remembered for that? Then what is one that you're like, yuck, please forget about that?
Well, yuck. Don't watch my mashups. No, I'm just joking. My mashups, I am never pleased with them. Everyone listens to my mashup and goes, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is great." I can't go back and listen to them, man. I can't, because maybe it's the sound, maybe it's the mixing. There's always something about it where I'm like, I wish I can change it up. I want to take it down. So just to give you an answer, my mashups, I'm just like, I'm very hard on myself. My favorite video that I've done today, in that same breath, I did a mashup on The Undertaker's streak. And I still go back and watch it. Del Busto, 103. I think that's the 3 digits he has. He did the graphics. I did the music. Me and him created what I thought was the greatest piece of WWE media in the YouTube space. If you want to watch it right now, search Undertaker WWE WrestleMania Streak mashup. It is literally, I think, 20 minutes of us recapping the Undertaker's full career at WrestleMania, from his debut to of course, when he retired with AJ Styles. And then it's one of my best works that I've ever created, and I hope everyone sees it.
They should, my friend, because you're very good at what you do. But as we wrap this up, Alex, obviously I want to say thank you for a great conversation. But please promote yourself. Where can the good people find you, your work, etc.?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Alex, right here in Alex's World, a safe space for wrestling fans like you, is live on YouTube every week to review Raw, SmackDown, and AEW content, as well as pay-per-views. If you want to get more of me, you can follow me on Facebook, of course, Twitter, Instagram, just Alex Central on all platforms, as well as TikTok. And I like saying this because this is what I do. For I am the tickest of the talkest, and I am someone that is always available at justalexsworld@gmail.com. You can email me just to say hi or questions. And of course, get yourself a t-shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure you'll plug the rest of it down below. You know where to find me, people.
Oh, well, there. So, as I said, if you let me do that again. Obviously, I want to say thank you to Alex for a great conversation. But if you guys like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Tom Talks Irish on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter or at Tom Talks Irish, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.